Hello there, and welcome to Whispers to Sleep. My name is David, and I'm truly honored to be your guide tonight. Here we believe sleep is not just a routine. It's a gentle journey, a quiet return to peace every night. I craft stories with care, so your mind can rest and your body can soften all you need to do. Let go, take a slow deep breath in, and as you breathe out, allow the day to melt away. Close your eyes. Get cozy under the covers and let my voice lead you into calm, into comfort, into dreams. This is your time. Your memento. Truly relax. Let's begin. The world is white. Snow stretches endlessly, swallowing every sound, softening every edge. It is not merely silence. It is the kind of quiet that presses against your skin, that seems to listen back. You draw in a breath, and the air burns, sharp and clean, as if it has been untouched since the beginning of time. Your breath escapes you in a pale cloud, a fleeting ghost that vanishes almost as quickly as it appears. In this moment, you feel small, but also deeply, vividly alive. Your body knows this cold in ways you do not have to think about. Tiny vessels beneath your skin constrict, narrowing to hold in precious heat. Blood, like an obedient river, is pulled closer to the core, protecting the heart, the lungs, the brain, your essential flame. Your fingers tingle, your toes numb, but this is not failure. This is survival. Your body is a quiet strategist, willing to sacrifice the edges to save the center dot, and then there is the shiver. It begins as a tremor, a small quiver along your spine, but soon it becomes a drumbeat, an involuntary symphony of movement. Each tremor burns fuel, a biological fire sparked from deep within, transforming food stored in your body into warmth. It is strange to think of it, but every shake is proof that you are still here, still fighting the frost. Around you, the snow absorbs every sound. No birds, no rustling leaves, no distant hum of life, only you, and the faint rhythm of your heart. In this silence, even your pulse sounds louder, steady, and stubborn against the cold. You imagine it as a small lantern glowing inside you, casting light in a world otherwise pale and still. Your mind drifts to the science hidden in this stillness. You picture the mitochondria, tiny engines within your cells spinning endlessly, converting fuel into energy, heat, and the power to endure. It is an invisible war, waged without your command. 1,000 little fires keeping you from freezing. The snow outside is merciless, but within there is motion, warmth, and quiet defiance. You take another breath. The cold air bites, but there is beauty in its sharpness. As it rushes into your lungs, it dries the passageways, tightens the vessels, and makes every exchange of oxygen feel crystalline and pure. Your chest rises and falls in a steady rhythm, as if the very act of breathing is a ritual of survival. Inhale, endure. Exhale, persist. Time slows here. Your thoughts stretch out, wandering through the quiet landscape of your mind. You remember how snow muffles sound in the world outside, but in your body, survival has a voice. The hiss of your breath, the drum of your heart, the faint, tremulous music of your shiver. It is a symphony written for no one else but you. Skin prickles. Goosebumps rise, each tiny muscle pulling at its base. A relic of an older time, when our ancestors' hair would lift to trap warmth close to their bodies. You no longer wear that coat of fur, but your body remembers, and it tries anyway. Even in this frozen quiet, the past hums beneath your skin. The snow glimmers faintly in the dim light. Each flake is a fragment of geometry, a fleeting masterpiece. Of water and air. They gather in soft drifts, and for a moment, you marvel at the strange, delicate science that governs even this frozen wilderness. Each crystal, each silent fall, is proof of a world bound by laws, yet endlessly beautiful. Kneel and press your hand into the snow. It bites at your skin, sharp and electric. Your body reacts instantly, blood retreating from your fingertips to shelter in your core. Yet, even in this small pain, you feel wonder. Your body, this quiet and tireless guardian, has been shaped by millions of winters before this one. Hours pass, but here it is impossible to measure time in minutes. You measure it instead in breaths, in the subtle ache of cold settling deep in your bones, and in the quiet triumph of still being here. Your body hums with life beneath layers of frost and silence. Even in this frozen vastness, you are never truly still. And as you stand, snow stretching in every direction, you sense that this silence is not empty at all. It is filled with hidden motion, blood flowing, heat sparking, muscles quivering, lungs working. Even the snow itself shifts imperceptibly, crystals bonding and breaking in a slow, silent dance. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the cold press against you like a weight. It is not cruel. It is simply the truth of this place. And yet, your body is not passive. Beneath the quiet, your hypothalamus, that small command center deep in your brain, issues orders like a patient conductor. Blood vessels constrict, muscles tremble, fat begins to burn. All in a choreography you do not need to understand to trust. Brown fat, the hidden furnace in your body, awakens. Unlike the pale fat that stores energy, this darker, richer tissue crackles with purpose. It converts fuel straight into heat, spilling warmth into your blood like embers scattered through a hearth. It is the kind of heat you never see, but you feel it, radiating from the deep places, shielding your vital organs while the cold claws at your edges. Your mind drifts, slow and heavy, but even this is by design. The body in the cold grows deliberate, focusing its strength on what must remain. Your thoughts are slower, yes, but quieter too, as if the snow has seeped inward, dampening every sharp edge of worry until only the essentials remain. And then there is the wonder of endurance. Even in this deep freeze, tiny chemical messengers move through your blood, telling muscles to burn fuel, telling the heart to beat a little stronger, telling the lungs to pull in another breath. It is not a struggle. It is a steady, unwavering conversation between your body and the cold. The snow falls harder now, each flake a fragment of silence drifting down from the black sky. And still you stand, wrapped in the hum of life beneath your skin, a quiet, stubborn warmth no winter can extinguish. And as you watch the snow deepen around your feet, you realize this truth. You are not merely enduring the cold, you are mastering it, one quiet, determined breath at a time. And somewhere in this frozen hush, a softer question forms, leading you toward what comes next. If cold can teach you strength, what might hunger teach you about endurance? The ache begins as a whisper. At first, it is nothing more than a reminder, a soft pull beneath your ribs, as if your body is gently tapping on a closed door. But with time, that whisper grows sharper, and you feel it coil within you, hollow and insistent. It is not only discomfort, it is language. Hunger is your body speaking in a voice older than words. You breathe through it, slow and steady, and the ache does not vanish, but it changes. It becomes something you can almost observe from a distance. Your body, quiet and deliberate, begins its work. Metabolism slows, a measured shift, like lowering the flame of a lamp to keep it from burning out too soon. Energy is no longer spent carelessly. It is rationed, guarded, saved for what matters most. Your muscles, once eager and restless, learn to move with economy. Even your heart finds a steadier rhythm, as if it too understands the quiet mathematics of survival. Blood flows where it must, conserving what is essential. The small, invisible governors in your brain, guided by the hypothalamus, issue silent commands that keep you balanced on this fine, thin line between deprivation and preservation. And beneath it all, a strange, kind of clarity emerges. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone, hums through your bloodstream, nudging you to seek food, yes, but also sharpening your senses, heightening your awareness. Your body does not simply plead, it prepares. Hunger, though it feels empty, can awaken something fiercely alive within you. You notice the way your stomach contracts and relaxes, a rhythm almost tidal in its persistence. Between each wave of ache, there is a brief and fragile quiet moment where the body seems to settle, as if reminding you that this too will pass. In those moments, you realize hunger is not only an absence, it is a teacher. It shows you how much strength lives in restraint, how much life is stored in every quiet, enduring breath. Your body has its own reserve strategies, ancient and reliable. Glycogen, stored in your liver and muscles, becomes the first offering to the fire. Molecule by molecule, it is broken down, transformed into the fuel that keeps your cells humming. When those stores grow thin, your body does not panic, it adapts. Fat, long and patient in its silent storage, begins to give itself up, becoming energy, becoming heat, becoming endurance. It is a strange kind of alchemy. What was once flesh becomes motion, breath, thought. Even in hunger, you are never without fuel. You are simply shifting from one hidden well to another. Outside, the world may feel still, but inside, there is movement. Hormones adjust, chemical signals whisper from one cell to the next, and your brain, the quiet sentinel of your survival, slows certain processes to protect the whole. You might feel heavy, slower, quieter, but it is not weakness. It is strategy. Then there is the mind. Hunger does not only belong to the body, it also weaves itself into thought. At first, the emptiness presses in, demanding attention. But as your body settles into this rhythm, a curious calm follows. Your focus sharpens, your senses deepen, and you begin to see how even deprivation has its strange order, its quiet wisdom. You imagine the cold, dim interior of your body, a landscape of cells working in quiet harmony. Mitochondria burn what little fuel they are given with careful precision, like monks tending a small, holy flame. There is no waste, no haste. Only endurance stretched across each slow, measured breath. And still, the hollow ache hums in your belly. It is not cruel. It is simply the sound of survival, a reminder that your body is awake, aware, and unwilling to stop. You touch your stomach lightly and feel it tighten, a quiet echo of a deeper truth. Emptiness is not the same as absence. Even in this hollow space, you are full of motion, full of life. Your mind drifts back to the cold outside, to the way snow teaches you stillness. Hunger is the same kind of silence, only within. It demands nothing but patience and trust in the quiet machinery that keeps you alive. Ketones begin to rise, small sparks of energy born from the slow burning of fat. They flow to your brain, feeding thought, memory, and focus. You are living. Proof of an ancient design, one shaped by winters without food and seasons of scarcity. Every ache, every quiet chemical shift, is a thread connecting you to all who came before you, those who endured, who adapted, who survived. You let this thought settle over you like a blanket. Hunger is not only an emptiness to be endured, it is a bridge to something older, something enduring. Your body remembers. It knows how to survive even when your mind doubts. The ache comes and goes in waves, but each wave feels softer now. You understand its pattern, its rhythm, its purpose. You begin to see it not as suffering, but as proof that you are still here, that every cell within you has sworn itself to the work of survival. Your breath slows. Your heart hums in its steady, quiet way. The world outside is cold. Still, but inside, you are warm enough. Alive enough. And as you stand in this strange, hollow quiet, you begin to wonder, If hunger can teach your body how to endure, what other hidden lessons might the human spirit hold in the face of the unseen? Work presses on you like a steady weight, neither cruel nor merciful, but unrelenting. You feel it in the ache of your shoulders, the burn in your arms, the stiffness that settles into every joint. Yet in this quiet burden lies a story, one your body has been telling since the first time you lifted, carried, or pulled against the world's resistance. Your hands are the first to change. Skin thickens, not by chance, but through the careful design of adaptation. Each callus is a small shield, grown where the world rubs you raw. It is biology's quiet answer to friction, a promise that what hurts today will hurt less tomorrow. Beneath the skin, deeper forces are at work. Muscles, strained and trembling, respond not with defeat, but with rebuilding. Tiny fibers tear, then knit themselves stronger. Mitochondria, the powerhouses of every cell, multiply, preparing for the next. Demand. This is how strength is born. Not in sudden triumph, but in the patient layering of effort upon effort. Even your bones, silent and rigid as they seem, are not fixed things. Under the pull of heavy labor, they grow denser, fortified by microscopic builders called osteoblasts. Each motion sends a signal. Hold fast, grow stronger, endure. Your skeleton, the very frame that carries you, listens and answers without complaint. There is a rhythm to this work. You push, you tire, you rest. In that rest, unseen miracles unfold. Proteins weave themselves into new fibers, and your nervous system quietly refines its patterns, making each movement more efficient than the last. What once felt heavy begins to feel familiar, and what once seemed impossible becomes only another step in the steady march of adaptation. Yet there is more than strength in this story. Work also teaches you energy's delicate balance. Muscles burn glucose, first quick fuel for immediate effort, but as the hours pass, your body shifts. Fat begins to feed the fire, and hormones like cortisol and adrenaline keep you moving, holding you upright when fatigue presses hard against your will. It is a negotiation between exhaustion and resilience, and in that negotiation, you begin to see the truth. Your body is not only surviving, it is learning. You pause for a moment, breathing slowly. The air feels heavy, but your heart beats steady. Each contraction, a quiet drum of persistence. Blood surges through veins and capillaries, carrying oxygen to where it is needed most. Lactate builds and clears, a cycle as old as effort itself. You feel the burn not as failure, but as proof that life within you is still pushing forward, still adapting in silence. And then there is the mind, the part of you that endures alongside the body. Labor sharpens it too. The repetitive grind, the strain and release have a way of stripping thought down to its essentials. In those moments, you are not 1,000 scattered worries or drifting memories. You are simply breath, motion, survival. You find an odd calm there, in the steady push and pull of muscles against the world. Even the smallest repairs within you hold meaning. Collagen fibers mend tiny tears in your tendons. Electrolytes shift across membranes to restore balance. Growth. Factors rise, weaving strength from strain. Your body is not idle, not even for a heartbeat. While you rest, it works quietly, endlessly turning effort into endurance, ache into power. Yet it is not only the building that matters. The ache, too, has purpose. It reminds you of the cost of growth, but also its promise. Each time you lift, pull, or strain against resistance, you write a message into the marrow of your bones and the fibers of your muscles. You are becoming something more than you were. You glance down at your hands again, their hardened surface a map of effort and persistence. They do not look delicate now. They look earned. And in their roughness, you see the proof of what the body can do when it is asked. Again and again, to rise against the weight of the world. In the quiet that follows, you realize something simple but profound. Work is not punishment. It is transformation disguised as struggle. Every callus, every ache, every trembling muscle is a quiet testament to what endures when the world demands more of you than you thought you had to give. And when you lay down at last, the ache still humming faintly beneath your skin, you understand this too. Even pain is not the end of the story. It is simply the body's reminder that it is still alive, still building, still moving toward something stronger. You close your eyes. The weight of work settles, but it does not crush you. Instead, it becomes part of you, a quiet force, shaping you from within. And as you drift, you wonder what comes after strength. What waits beyond the body's quiet ability to endure and adapt? The first breath is always the hardest. The air is cold enough to sting, sliding down your throat like shards of glass. You feel it filling your lungs, stretching them as if the world itself presses its weight against your ribs. Then, as you exhale, the frost blooms in front of you, a ghostly cloud that vanishes almost as quickly as it appears. Your breath is not only habit, it is science, unbroken and unthinking. Every inhale is a quiet transaction between you and the world. Oxygen drifts into your lungs, dissolves into your blood, and clings to hemoglobin, those small, iron-centered couriers within your red blood cells. They carry it forward, rushing, like messengers through an endless river of veins and capillaries, delivering life where it is most needed. And as oxygen enters, another molecule departs. Carbon dioxide, born from the fires that burn inside each cell, travels back to your lungs, waiting to be released. You exhale it into the icy air, a silent offering, and the cycle begins again. In this frozen quiet, you become aware of how simple and how sacred that cycle is. Breath in, breath out. Survival, written in rhythm. The frost deepens, and so does your breathing. When the air is this cold, your lungs must work harder to warm and humidify it. Each passage, the nose, the throat, the bronchi, becomes a small furnace, giving away its heat to protect the deeper spaces of your body. You shiver, not just from the cold, but from the energy demanded to keep this internal fire alive. Your diaphragm, the great domed muscle beneath your ribs, moves in a slow, deliberate tide. It presses downward, creating a gentle vacuum that draws the world in. Then it rises again, pushing out what is no longer needed. You do not think about it, but your body does. Nerves spark, muscles respond, and every breath becomes an effortless negotiation between mind and flesh, between the cold outside and the warmth you guard within. Even in this frozen air, oxygen finds its way to the smallest corners of you. It slips into the mitochondria, the tiny engines inside your cells, feeding the reactions that turn fuel into energy. Without it, the fires would dim. With it, you endure. In this way, every breath becomes a thread, weaving you to the present moment. The cold changes you, though. It forces your blood vessels to constrict, conserving warmth in the core of your body. Less blood flows to your skin and fingertips, but your lungs remain untouched, tirelessly filling and emptying. The rhythm does not falter. No matter how harsh the frost, this pattern holds. Inhale, exhale, survive. Yet there is something else hidden in this exchange, something quiet and deeply human. When the cold bites too hard, your breath slows, almost instinctively. This is the body's way of saving energy, of stretching each molecule of oxygen a little farther. And still, even in that slowing, there is balance. The body knows how to endure what the mind might not fully grasp. You close your eyes for a moment, and in the darkness behind your lids, you feel it all. The weight of the air, the hum of your blood, the steady, unfailing pulse of life moving quietly beneath your skin. The science of survival feels almost like music, repetitive, unyielding, but strangely comforting. In the cold, you notice each breath more than you ever would in warmth. You notice how the chest rises like a wave and falls again, how the cold air sharpens your focus, how each exhale feels like a promise that you are still here. The world may freeze around you, but as long as you breathe, there is movement. And with every breath, your body remembers how to endure. It recalls the way lungs expand in thin air, how blood thickens slightly in the cold to carry oxygen more efficiently, how every cell can adjust to make the most of what little the world offers. Your biology does not panic. It adapts. It has always adapted. The frost is still there, silent and endless, but you no longer fear it. Instead, you listen to the quiet inside yourself. Breath becomes a kind of meditation, a steady reminder that survival does not come in leaps or victories. It comes in simple exchanges. Air for life, breath for one more moment. You let the cold air fill you again. Your lungs stretch. Your heart answers. And for a moment, nothing else exists but this quiet rhythm. Night does not ask permission. It simply arrives, spilling its quiet over the frozen world. You feel its weight pressing down, heavy and soft, as though the air itself is urging you to surrender. Your eyelids grow heavier, and though the ground beneath you is cold, though hunger gnaws faintly at your ribs, there is a deeper need that rises above them all, the need to rest. Sleep comes differently here. It is not the deep, endless slumber of safety and warmth. No, this is a thinner sleep, stitched together from fragments and instinct. Yet even in this fractured state, it serves a purpose. As you close your eyes, your body begins the silent work that can only happen in darkness. Your brain, that restless lantern of thought, begins to dim. Neurons slow their firing, their frantic chatter softening into a quiet hum. Glial cells, those tireless caretakers of the mind, move like gentle sweepers through a silent hall, clearing away the chemical debris left by long hours of wakefulness. With every passing moment, your brain washes itself clean, its inner pathways polished by this invisible tide of repair. Dreams flicker at the edges of your mind, thin and strange, like shadows against a pale wall. You are neither fully in them nor entirely free of them, but they serve their purpose too. Through these drifting visions, your brain rearranges memory, sorting, discarding, and weaving. Today's sharp edges are softened. What was once tangled becomes threadbare and quiet. Sleep, even in short, broken pieces, is a kind of healing. Meanwhile, your body joins in the ritual. Your heart slows, no longer pounding with the urgency of cold or hunger. Blood flows more freely to your core, warming what matters most. In the quiet rhythm of sleep, muscles knit themselves back together, their tiny fibers repairing the wear of labor and strain. Even your bones, silent and steady, answer to this nightly summons, drawing in the minerals they need to stay unbroken. Beneath tomorrow's weight, your breath deepens, slow, even, like tides under a winter moon. With each exhale, the world feels farther away, as though your body has folded itself inward, conserving its precious strength. Science calls it homeostasis, a word too clinical to capture the grace of it, the way every cell works in concert, guarding you even while you drift through the edges of consciousness. Outside, the frost thickens, but inside you enter a different landscape entirely. In this place, time softens. Your mind floats between stages of sleep light and deep, waking and dreaming, each one serving a quiet purpose. In the deepest phases, growth hormones rise like unseen tides, commanding your tissues to rebuild, your energy to restore, your strength to gather. In these hidden hours, your body writes its promises for tomorrow. Even the smallest moments of rest hold power. Science has shown that the brain, deprived of long sleep, still seizes upon brief fragments, stitching them together like patches on a warm coat. You may wake often, stirred by cold or hunger, but each return to sleep is a small act of defiance, a reminder that survival is not only about endurance, but also recovery. You shift slightly, cocooned in darkness. Your pulse is a steady drumbeat in your chest, a sound so constant it almost disappears. And there, in this fragile quiet, you realize something profound. The body has always known how to protect itself. Even in exhaustion, it finds ways to keep. You alive got your dreams return now, softer this time, flowing like water over stone. Perhaps you see a memory from long ago, its edges blurred. Or perhaps it is nothing more than color and warmth, a gentle trick of a mind finally at rest. Whatever it is, you let it carry you, trusting the unseen rhythm of sleep to do its work. Hours pass in fragments, and yet somehow, when you stir again, you feel lighter. Not fully renewed, no, not yet, but steadier. The ache in your muscles has dulled, the fog in your thoughts has thinned. And though the world around you remains harsh and frozen, you carry within you a small, undeniable proof. The body remembers how to heal itself, one quiet interval at a time. You open your eyes. The dark has not lifted, but your mind feels clearer, as if the night itself has drawn a thin line between yesterday and now. Sleep has done what it always does. It has rebuilt you in small, unseen ways, enough for one more step, one more breath, one more moment of endurance. You breathe in deeply, the cold biting but clean, and realize that this simple act, the closing of your eyes, the surrendering to rest, has given you something rare, the strength to continue. And perhaps that is what sleep truly is. Not an escape, but a quiet negotiation between body and world, a whispered promise that even here, in the outlet, cold and the silence, there will always be another beginning. You sit in the stillness, and it feels endless. The cold walls do not move, the silence does not bend, and somewhere deep inside, a shadow settles over your chest. Despair is not loud. It is quiet like a weight, pressing gently but relentlessly, until you almost forget what it felt like to breathe freely. And yet, even here, something within you stirs. Your body knows despair in the language of chemistry. It reads it not as hopelessness, but as a signal. Deep in your brain, the amygdala, the sentinel of fear, glows faintly like a coal in the dark. It calls to the hypothalamus, and the chain reaction begins. Cortisol, the stress hormone, spills into your blood like a slow tide, sharpening your senses, stiffening your resolve. Though it feels heavy, it is also survival, a way of keeping you alert, ready, unbroken. You can almost feel it, the tension in your chest, the quickening of your breath, the small tightening in your muscles. These are not betrayals, they are the body's way of anchoring you in a storm. But the body is wiser than fear alone. As cortisol rises, another current stirs. Deep in the midbrain, the reward centers do not vanish. They adapt. Your brain begins to ration its dopamine, once given freely, in easy moments of joy, now conserved, measured out carefully, like firewood in the depths of winter. It is not gone. It is waiting, teaching you to value every spark of relief, every fleeting fragment of comfort dot in the quiet of despair. This is how resilience is born, not from abundance, but from scarcity. Your brain learns to stretch hope the way the lungs stretch a single breath in thin air dot. And then there is serotonin, the subtle tide of calm. It moves more slowly, like snow falling in a silent forest, settling into your thoughts and smoothing their jagged edges. Though you may not feel it fully, though your heart may still ache, this quiet chemistry is working silently, holding you together while the world feels heavy enough to break. You press your hand against your chest. Beneath skin and bone, your heart does not race uncontrollably. It finds its rhythm again. Your breath, though shallow, begins to steady. Somewhere deep in the brain, oxytocin, the molecule of connection, whispers faintly, reminding you that even in isolation, the memory of warmth remains. This is the body's secret. It does not only react to suffering, it rewrites it, reshapes it into something you can endure. Science calls this process adaptation, but you feel it as something simpler, a quiet recalibration of the self. Like a tree bending in the wind, your body does not resist despair. It leans with it, conserving strength until the gusts pass. In this strange alchemy, even tears have a purpose. They are not weakness, but release, carrying stress hormones out of the bloodstream, lightening the burden you cannot see. Every drop is a soft, wordless form of survival, a reminder that biology is never cruel without reason. You close your eyes. In the darkness, you can almost imagine the invisible symphony of your cells' neurotransmitters exchanging messages. Hormones ebbing and flowing, each one part of an ancient design. You are not broken. You are being balanced. That this is how the body protects you, not always with strength, but with patience, and slowly you notice it, the sharp edges of despair dulling, like a blade left out in the frost. You still feel its weight, but it no longer feels infinite. The mind, through its chemistry, has begun to build walls against the tide, leaving just enough space for a flicker of hope to pass through. You think of that flicker now. It is small, almost invisible, but it lives in the space between one breath and the next. It is there in the steadiness of your heartbeat, in the way your muscles unclench by a fraction, in the faint warmth that remains in your hands despite. The cold. Science explains it in circuits and hormones, but you feel it as something else, a quiet refusal to surrender, and that refusal matters. Because with every hour that passes, your chemistry shifts again. Cortisol, once sharp and commanding, begins to settle. Dopamine rises in small, deliberate increments, enough to draw your gaze toward the faintest comforts, a sliver of quiet, a moment of warmth, a memory that does not hurt. This is how survival works. It is not a single act of defiance. It is a slow, chemical negotiation, written in the language of the body itself. You let out a long breath. It steams in the cold air, curling upward like a quiet signal to the dark. You may still be far from escape, but your body has already begun its work. Even in despair, it is teaching you something vital, that the human frame is not only built to endure storms, but to adapt to their weight, to bend without breaking, and to turn the raw ache of survival into something that feels, at last, almost calm. And in this calm, as fragile as it is, you sense the faintest shift, a reminder that if chemistry can soothe despair, it might also fuel something greater, an ember of strength, hidden but waiting. You feel it first as a spark, a sudden flare beneath the skin. It is small but undeniable, like a match struck in darkness. Pain has no patience. It does not whisper. It demands. Yet as you sit with it, you begin to realize that pain, for all its sharpness, is not only an enemy. It is a teacher. Deep beneath your skin, nerves stretch like a vast web of listening threads. Each one waits in silence until the moment it must speak. When you touch something too cold or strain a muscle too far, those nerves awaken. They send their message racing toward your spine, faster than thought, faster than fear. Protect this. Stop now. Your brain listens. In an instant, reflexes leap forward. Muscles contract, your hand pulls away, and only after you are safe does the ache truly bloom. That is the strange mercy of pain. It warns you before it harms you fully, carving seconds of grace into every dangerous moment. You breathe, and for a moment you simply observe. Pain is not random. It is a language written in electrical signals, each one carrying a meaning. Some are sharp and urgent in injury, a cut, a burn. Others are dull and lingering, the low hum of a muscle stretched past its limit, or a joint that has carried too much weight for too long. Scientists call these signals nociception, but to you, they feel more human than that. Each ache, each sting, is your body's way of asking for care. You notice how pain changes over time. The first moments are fierce and immediate, but then your body begins its quiet countermeasure. Endorphins, those soft, natural opiates, rise in your bloodstream. They do not erase the injury, but they wrap it in a gentler frame, blurring the sharpness, making it bearable. This is the body's kindness. Even as it wounds you, it soothes you, teaching you not only to react, but to endure. And there is wisdom in that endurance. Chronic pain, though cruel in its persistence, carries its own lessons. It teaches patience. It sharpens your awareness of what is fragile and what is resilient. You begin to notice the smallest reliefs, a moment of stillness, a slight easing of tension, and those tiny mercies become anchors. Pain reshapes the map of what you value, narrowing it to what matters most: safety, balance, healing. You press your fingertips against your palm, testing sensation. Even here, in this simple gesture, there is science at work. Nerves fire, signals leap, and your brain interprets each touch, each twinge. Like words in a language you were born knowing but never fully understood. There are times, of course, when pain lingers too long, when it feels less like a guide and more like a prison. Yet even then, the body fights for you. It rewires itself, creating new pathways, teaching itself to quiet the volume of the signals. It is slow work, but it is proof that you are not helpless. You are adaptable. You exhale. The air is cool, and in its quiet drift, you feel the truth. Settle. Pain does not arrive to punish you. It arrives to keep you alive. Without it, you would walk unknowing into harm. Without it, you would never learn where the edges of your endurance lie. And slowly, as you sit in this understanding, something shifts. You stop fighting the ache. You start listening to it. It is no longer a scream. It is a map. Every pulse, every throb, every faint burn is a marker leading you toward care, toward caution, toward healing. Even in its harshest form, pain is not your enemy. It is the body's most honest language, and once you hear it clearly, you are never lost again. You rest your hand on your chest. The pain you once feared has softened, not because it is gone, but because you have learned how to hear it dot, and in that quiet, a new question begins to form, not about pain, but about what happens after it fades, when the body begins to rebuild the strength it has lost. The wind howls outside, an unrelenting force against the edges of your endurance. Your body is weary, your muscles aching from work, from hunger, from the relentless pull of survival. And yet, in the silence between one breath and the next, something within you sparks. It begins not with movement, but with thought. You remember warmth, a summer afternoon, sunlight pressing against your skin like a comforting hand. Your mind summons it with precision, painting the image so clearly that for a moment it almost feels real. And in that simple act, you notice it. The body responds. Your heart rate steadies. Your breathing slows. This is the fire of the mind. Neuroscientists might call it visualization or the activation of neural networks. But here, in this stillness, it feels like something older, something instinctive. Your brain does not merely record memories. It replays them like a hidden hearth. Images, sounds, even imagined sensations light up the same regions of your brain that real experiences do. When you think of warmth, your body prepares for it. When you imagine comfort, stress softens its grip. In this way, the mind does more. Then think it shields. You close your eyes and drift further inward. Memory becomes architecture. You build walls from recollection. The scent of wood smoke from a winter-long past. The sound of rain tapping against a roof while you were safe inside. the quiet laughter of someone you once loved. Each thought stacks upon the next, creating shelter where there was none before. Science has a name for this too: neuroplasticity. Every thought carves a path, a trail of electricity running through the forest of your mind. The more often you travel it, the stronger it becomes, like footprints deepening into a well-worn trail. This is why memory comforts you, not because it changes the world outside, but because it changes how you live inside your own head. And survival often begins there. Even in the harshest cold, your body responds to the warmth you imagine. Stress hormones like cortisol, sharp and biting, begin to ebb. In their place, the brain releases dopamine, a quiet reassurance that says, stay, endure, there is hope here. It is not magic. It is biology, wrapped in something that feels like grace. You breathe again, slower now, as if each inhale feeds the fire a little more. The mind does not only use memory, it creates new refuge from nothing. Imagination steps in where memory ends. You can see a cabin you've never visited, hear a fire crackling that has never burned. And still, your body believes it. The visual cortex lights up. The auditory regions hum with phantom sound. You are not merely thinking. You are inhabiting. This is why daydreams matter. This is why hope survives. The brain, through sheer thought, can trick the body into feeling safer than it is, calmer than it should be. And in that calm, it finds the strength to keep going. Once, long ago, this ability served your ancestors well. Trapped in storms or darkness, they told stories by firelight tales of future hunts, future summers, future feasts. In speaking those images aloud, they shared warmth that was not there yet, but felt close enough to touch. That same ability lives in you. Even in silence, the mind tells its stories, and the body listens. You feel it now, the ache in your hands, easing, your breath falling into rhythm. The cold outside is unchanged, but you are not. Inside, there is a hearth only you can tend. And every thought, every quiet dream, feeds its flame. There is another layer to this fire, one less visible, but no less powerful. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that imagines, plans, and envisions, reaches into the future. It is not only recalling what has been, it is sketching what might be. And that simple act has weight. When you picture survival, your brain begins to align your body with that vision. Muscles conserve energy. Hormones stabilize. You make decisions not just for this moment, but for the next. Hope, then, is not a soft word. It is a physiological tool, a survival mechanism disguised as feeling dot, and so you keep tending this fire. You recall the smallest comforts, the scent of pine, the first bite of warm bread, the sound of water lapping against a wooden dock in summer. Each memory feeds the mind until slowly your body follows. Pain quiets, fear softens. The storm, though still there, feels distant. For a moment, you almost forget the cold. And this is the quiet brilliance of your mind. It cannot change the frost outside, but it can build a room inside you where the frost cannot reach. Thought, memory, and imagination layer themselves like blankets, and beneath them, you rest. The fire is not infinite, but it is enough. And in survival, enough is everything. As you sit in this warmth, a question begins to stir. If the mind can shield you from the cold, what else can it awaken within you? Could it not only protect, but transform you? In the quiet stillness of your body, something unseen is at work. You may feel only the ache of a wound, the lingering throb of pain, or the dull exhaustion of recovery. But beneath your skin, an orchestra of repair is playing a slow, steady music that does not ask for your attention, but thrives without it. When you are hurt, your body does not panic. It begins to build. First, the blood rushes in. Platelets, Tiny fragments smaller than a grain of sand gather at the site of the wound. They weave a fragile net, a temporary bridge to stop the bleeding. You may think of it as chaos, but in truth, it is choreography. Each platelet knows exactly where to go, guided by signals so ancient they have been written into your biology since the beginning of life. Next comes the quiet work of repair. White blood cells arrive, not only to protect you, but to clean away what is no longer needed. They dissolve fragments of damage, sweeping the path clear for growth. In this microscopic world, destruction and creation are not enemies. They are partners. One clears the ground so the other can build. Slowly, new cells begin their patient work. Skin cells knit themselves together like careful stitches, while fibroblasts, silent architects, lay down fresh collagen to give your body strength. If bone is broken, specialized cells called osteoblasts gather like determined masons, rebuilding what once seemed lost. All of this happens without command, without effort from you. You do not need to think your way into healing. Your body remembers how to mend, and as you rest, this repair continues. Sleep deepens the process, allowing growth hormones to flow like unseen rivers, fueling regeneration. It is in this stillness that the body does its best work. You might feel helpless, waiting for time to do what you cannot, but in truth, time is only the stage. The true work happens in every heartbeat, in every cell quietly choosing life over fracture dot. You place your hand over a scar, perhaps an old one. Notice how it has changed, how the rawness is gone, how the once bright mark is softened. That is the proof of this hidden art. Healing is not quick, nor is it perfect. It is not the restoration of what was, but the creation of something new. Shaped by survival, even your mind heals in its own way. Neuroscience tells us that the brain, though once thought fixed, can rewire itself. Memories fade, pain dulls, and slowly, resilience forms like scar tissue, not rigid, but strong. The same neuroplasticity that allows you to learn also allows you to recover. It is as if the mind, too, stitches its own wounds in silence. And, though the process may be slow, it is relentless. Every cell carries the memory of wholeness, and every system of your body moves toward it. Even when it feels as though nothing is changing, even when days blur into each other, the work continues beneath the surface. Healing is not a straight line. There are days of tenderness, moments of swelling or soreness, times when you wonder if progress has stopped. But beneath that doubt, your biology does not falter. You are a living proof of this quiet persistence. Consider how a tree, split by lightning, can still grow. The wound remains, but around it, the bark thickens. The branches reach again for the sky. You are not so different. Your scars, visible or hidden, do not erase your strength. They tell the story of it. And in this story, patience is not just a virtue, it is a necessity, for healing cannot be hurried. It belongs to the steady rhythm of time and the quiet wisdom of the body. Each breath you take is part of that rhythm. Each night of rest, each moment of stillness, adds another thread to the tapestry of repair. Even in the coldest, harshest conditions, the body does not stop. Wounds close, fractures fuse, strength returns. It is proof that you are built not only to endure, but to recover. And so, you wait not passively, but with quiet trust. For even if you cannot feel the change in every moment, it is there, written in the smallest movements of your cells, in the tireless work happening within you. You are never as still as you seem. And as this slow art unfolds, it brings with it a truth that is both humbling and comforting. If your body knows how to heal, perhaps it also knows how to rise again and again from everything that has tried to break it. Survival begins with something small. It is not a grand act of defiance, nor a heroic declaration. It is the quiet decision to take one more breath, to keep your heart steady, to let your body do what it was made to do. In the frozen silence of this place, where the world feels stripped down to its bones, you feel that simplicity more clearly than ever. Your body is a machine built for endurance, but not only endurance. It is also an artist of adaptation. When the cold gnaws at your skin, blood vessels constrict, shunting warmth to your core, protecting the organs that matter most. Shivering is not weakness. It is movement born of necessity, tiny muscular tremors that create heat as if your body has remembered fire. And then there is your breath. Each inhale may feel sharp, the air thin and bitter against your lungs. But oxygen continues its quiet exchange, absorbed into blood, bound to hemoglobin, delivered with absolute precision. Even here, in the harshest of conditions, your cells receive what they need. The chemistry of survival is not loud. It whispers in red blood cells and capillaries, in mitochondria, spinning oxygen into energy like lanterns in the dark. You are not passive in this process. Even without conscious effort, you are in constant negotiation with the world around you. If the cold persists, your body begins to change. Metabolism quickens, fat becomes fuel, and even the shape of your blood alters subtly, adjusting to the long, thin hunger of this environment. It is not just that you survive. You reshape yourself to endure. This is the hidden beauty of biology, the way it bends but does not break. The same mechanisms that once protected your distant ancestors now protect you. The thread of life is unbroken, woven through countless generations that adapted and endured, passing to you the silent wisdom of survival. But survival is not only a story of the body, it is also a matter of the mind. Inside your brain, far from the icy air, another form of adaptation is at work. Cortisol, the stress hormone, rises in the beginning, sharp, insistent, pushing you to react, to stay alert. Yet even this sharpness has purpose. It keeps you watchful, helps you notice the smallest signs of danger. But over time, the brain learns. It does not stay locked in fear. It begins to regulate itself, pulling back from the brink, teaching you to conserve not only your energy, but your hope. And hope is not merely an idea. It has chemistry, too. When you find something small to hold on to, a memory, a quiet thought, a single star in a sky of darkness, your brain releases dopamine, a flicker of reward that says, keep going. Endorphins soothe the edges of pain, not erasing it, but softening it enough that you can take one more step. Even in despair, the body and mind conspire gently toward survival. You feel it in your muscles, in your breath, in the way sleep, even brief and broken, can still repair you. During rest, the body strengthens its defenses, immune cells patrolling like quiet guardians, repairing what was worn down by the day. This, too, is survival. Not dramatic, not loud, simply steady, like snow falling in the dark. And yet, in these moments of stillness, you come to understand something deeper. Survival is not resistance against the world. It is harmony with it. The human body does not fight the cold. It learns how to live alongside it. The mind does not deny fear. It finds a place for it, tucks it into the quiet corners of thought, and carries on. Even hunger, sharp and hollow, carries its own strange wisdom. As energy wanes, your metabolism slows, conserving every drop of fuel. Your body, in its ancient language, is telling you, I will wait with you. I will keep you alive, even in this silence. And through it all, you are not only surviving, you are changing. You are learning the slow conversation between body and world, between need and endurance. There is science in this. Yes, in the neurons firing, in the hormones shifting, in the quiet precision of cellular repair. But there is something else, too, something no microscope can measure, the quiet will that threads through every part of you. You begin to notice how survival is written into everything, in the way a wound closes, in the way a single breath steadies you, in the way thoughts of warmth can almost make you feel it. You realize you are not simply enduring. You are participating in an unbroken chain of life, a proof that even in the coldest places, life continues to move forward. And in that realization, you feel a strange calm, because survival, you see, is not a test you pass. It is a rhythm you learn, a pulse, a breath, a quiet trust that no matter how deep the cold, your body and mind will keep answering the same question. What must I do to keep going? You are the sum of every answer to that question. And though you may not see it now, every moment of struggle is also a moment of building. Stronger vessels, steadier thoughts, a deeper connection to the quiet intelligence within you. Survival is not just something that happens to you. It is something you become. Perhaps that is why, even in this place, you feel a small but certain truth. You are not as fragile as you once believed. You are the warmth in your own breath, the spark in your blood, the quiet voice that says, not yet. I am not finished. And in that voice, you find something that feels almost like peace, not because the world has grown easier, but because you have grown stronger within it. It is quiet now, not the silence of fear, nor the silence of emptiness, but the deep, steady quiet that comes after long endurance. You sit in it, and it feels almost like the world is breathing with you. For so long, survival was an act of holding, on one heartbeat, one breath, one moment at a time. But here, in this stillness, you realize something remarkable. You are not only what you endured. You are also what you became in the space between each hardship, in the slow and patient work of your body and mind, learning how to live in the harshest places. Your breath is different now. You feel it move through you, no longer sharp or shallow, but full and deep. Oxygen flows into your blood like sunlight spilling across frozen ground. Every inhale is a reminder of the simple, unshakable fact that life is not fragile. It is persistent. You think of your heart, how it beat through. Every night, how it never asked for permission, how it carried you here without faltering. Even in the cold, even in exhaustion, it worked. And in its steady rhythm, you hear the truth. Survival is not just endurance. It is the language of the body telling you, I will not stop. And then there is your mind. For so long, you feared it might break under the weight of despair, but it did not. It changed. Like a tree in winter, it bent toward the smallest sources of light. It remembered dreams, quiet fragments of hope, and built shelter from them. Imagination became warmth. Memory became a lantern. You see now that this was not weakness, but a kind of genius, the mind's ability to turn even the smallest ember into something that could keep you alive. Science explains this in careful terms: dopamine, endorphins, neural plasticity. But none of those words can capture how it feels. It is not just chemistry. It is a conversation between your body and your spirit, one that carried you from the edge of despair to this stillness, this steady breath. You run your hand over your skin and think of all it has done. Sealed wounds, knit cells back together, shed the old to make room for the new. Healing, you realize, was not a single moment. It was 1,000 quiet decisions made by a body that never gave up on you, even when you almost gave up on it. And in that thought, there is something almost holy, because what is survival, if not a quiet kind of faith? Not faith in miracles, but in biology, in the quiet machinery within you that never once asked you to understand it, only to trust it. You close your eyes and listen to the stillness. The Gulag is gone now. Or perhaps it was never just a place at all, but a test of what you would find in yourself when the world offered nothing else. And what you found was not only endurance, but adaptation, strength, and a mind that could make its own warmth even in the coldest dark. You survived. But more than that, you learned how survival becomes something softer, something quieter, until it no longer feels like survival at all. It feels like living. And living is not loud dot, it is the slow mending of bones, the steady hum of blood. The quiet way a thought can keep you company through the longest night. It is the science of small things, mitochondria spinning energy, nerves firing messages, hormones rising and falling like tides. These things, these invisible truths, are what carried you here, Dot, and now they feel almost beautiful. You sit with that beauty for a while. You let it settle into you, not as a triumph, but as a simple truth. You are alive, and that is enough. You do not need to fight the world. You only need to trust in the quiet, patient strength that has been with you all along. Outside, the wind shifts. You imagine it brushing over you like a hand, not cruel, not harsh, just another rhythm in the great, unending pulse of life. You are part of it now, the cold, the breath, the heart, the mind, all moving together in a quiet harmony that asks for nothing but this: stay, breathe, endure, and in that, you find something even deeper than survival, you find peace. And now, as our story gently fades, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending this moment with me. Your presence here means the world, and your support helps me create even more peaceful journeys. Just for you. If this helped you rest, please consider liking, subscribing, or simply coming back tomorrow night. Until then, stay cozy, stay kind, and may your dreams tonight be soft, serene, and full of wonder. Good night, my friend. With warmth, David.